Following the Battle of Tulana Hill in southeast Africa in late 1899, Sir Humphrey Davidson, at the time a 23-year-old lieutenant with the King's Royal Rifle Corps, along with all of the other British units in the Natal region. There had been 15,000 troops deployed to the Natal in recent months, headed for the town of Ladysmith under orders from the very inexperienced Lieutenant General George White, who had ignored advice to keep well out of this geographically vulnerable spot. Two Boer republics were involved in this conflict, the Transvaal governing body and the Orange Free State. Each held the high ridges opposite one another, overlooking a small neck of Natal, where stood, you guessed it, Ladysmith. 21,000 Boers swarmed in to surround perhaps all of the British troops in Natal at the time. Hilltop emplacements bristled with artillery of all types and intended uses. On the 30th of October, White issued an order that all of his men, all of them, exit the town and destroy or capture the Boer artillery. This is known as the Battle of Ladysmith, and 1,200 British troops were lost or captured before the balance had to retreat back into the town. Railway and clean water had been cut by the Boers. The siege was on, a siege that would last in all 118 days. Plenty of troops could be spared to range far back and hold off any newly arrived British columns, which they did quite effectively. Rivers in flood stage, another geographic condition, only served to aid the Boer side. Now, midway through December, General White refused advice to either surrender or make a break for it. At Christmas, the Boers were filled with good spirits, firing an empty, unarmed shell into the British camp. It held Union Jack flags, a holiday fig pudding, and a message of Christmas greetings. Meanwhile, the Boers' fierce resistance held off any relief attempts, though these continued in earnest, meeting with failure in succession. Many people throughout the world had been following the plight of Davidson and the rest of the Ladysmith inmates, holding out hope for their relief. Now into January of 1900, typhoid was the main fear of the men in the camp, and it began to take lives. The lone water source, a muddy creek, was well under par for human use, but the only source to be had. Horse meat and bone-bare oxen had become the standard bill of fare, and even that was becoming scarce. On the 27th of February, a Commander Buller made a hole in the Boer defensive lines, and his men kept up such a momentum that the by now tired and homesick Boers folded up their caissons and headed out, unopposed by either White, who was in no condition, or Buller himself. An intensive downpour served to cover their retreat in any case. One of the members of the first relief column into Ladysmith, perhaps in sight of our 23-year-old Lieutenant John Humphrey Davidson, was a young war correspondent named Winston Churchill. We hope you're enjoying Clan Davidson in the month of May on the Touchnot channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, my friends.